talk about Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are making a serious playoff push at the moment. They have a 5-5-1 record. But at the same time, they're red hot. They've won their last 3 games. And their last 2 wins have been phenomenal, especially against the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City. And we'll talk about those games more in depth later on in this video. But when you look at the remaining schedule for the Dallas Cowboys here, there's a good chance that they may win out. They face the Lions next week, and the Lions are still a tough team to beat in the NFC, don't get me wrong, but their defense has taken a major step back. Jordan Love had 4 passing touchdowns on that defense earlier today, and they defeated the Lions. Just last week, Jameis Winston and the New York Giants, they went to overtime with the Lions. And their defense could barely get stops on a backup quarterback in Jameis Winston. No Cam at the running back position, no Malik Neighbors. And Jameis Winston was able to move up and down the field. This is the one thing that we know about the Dallas Cowboys this season. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, one of the best wide receiving duos that you can have. Jake Ferguson is a very good receiving tight end. And Dak Prescott is playing some of the best football of his career. And they can run the football consistently with Javonte Williams. So I would take the Dallas Cowboys in this matchup as it currently stands right now against the Lions, even though it is on the road. After the Lions game, they face the Minnesota Vikings at home. I mean this in the most respectful way possible. Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, 2 phenomenal wide receivers. They have one of the worst starting quarterbacks in J.J. McCarthy. This should be an easy win for the Dallas Cowboys. Then you face the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert is phenomenal. But this is the one problem with the Chargers here, and they're a tough team. Their defense is still tremendous. Their offensive line is a huge question mark. Their 2 starting tackles, they're both out. No Rashawn Slater, no Joe Alt. You have to take advantage of that front. You put enough pressure on Justin Herbert, you should be able to come away with the win. Look at what the Jaguars did a week ago against the Chargers. Not saying that's going to be easy, but the Cowboys should be able to win this matchup. You face the Washington Commanders on the road. Look at what the Cowboys did to them earlier this season. Then you close out against the New York Giants. That could be tough, but I would take the Dallas Cowboys in that game as well. So this is a very favorable schedule for the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion. You just can't have any trap situations to where you run to a trap game and you lose that game. They control their own destiny here. But this defense has taken a complete 180 over the last 3 games, especially against the run. Earlier in the year, when they traded Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers before the season started, they had problems in terms of stopping the run and putting pressure on the quarterback. And you had a lot of people, myself included, calling out Jerry Jones and saying, how can you make this trade before the season starts? You did this just a couple of weeks before the season started against the Philadelphia Eagles. You bring in Kenny Clark, solid defensive tackle to play alongside Osa Odigizua. But now you can just run the football to the outside. They allowed 158 rushing yards in week 1 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Against the New York Giants, Russell Wilson had 450 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Against the Bears, they could not sack Caleb Williams. He had 300 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns. Against the Green Bay Packers, 164 rushing yards for that team. Had a dominant game against the New York Jets, but they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. Against the Carolina Panthers, you allowed 30 points, 410 total yards on the day for the Carolina Panthers, 216 rushing yards, and all we've heard from Jerry Jones over the last 2 to 3 years, we have to stop the run. We have to get better against the run. One way or another, we have to dominate the line of scrimmage. That's why you made the trade to move off of Micah Parsons to have more money and to have a bigger front in the interior. But at this point in time, it just wasn't working. You had a great win against the Washington Commanders. You allowed 136 rushing yards, but that was phenomenal for this defense at that point in time. Against Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos, 44 points allowed. You weren't able to sack Bo Nix. They had 174 rushing yards. But against the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Raiders are a bad football team, but you can't help who you play. You held that team to only 27 rushing yards. You sacked Geno Smith 4 times, and he had an interception. And I know what a lot of people are going to say, well, that's against the Raiders. They're terrible. That's what you're supposed to do. similar to the New York Jets. But in the last 2 weeks here, this defense is still held up against the run. Against the Philadelphia Eagles, in week 1, like I mentioned, 158 rushing yards. Saquon and Jalen Hurts, they ran all over this defense. And the game was still close in week 1. But last week against the Philadelphia Eagles, you're down 21-0. You come back and you win this game. And Dak Prescott and George Pickens, they got a lot of love, rightfully so. You win this game 24-21. But your defense helped you out against the run. Saquon, one of the most talented running backs in the game. 22 rushing yards on 10 carries. And he fumbled in this game. And you had a fumble on special teams. That's your defense stepping up, making the right adjustments at halftime, and putting pressure on Jalen Hurts up the middle of the field. That Quinn Williams trade has been phenomenal for the Dallas Cowboys up to this point. You now have 3 big defensive tackles, Osa Odigizua, Kenny Clark, Quinn Williams. You have to double team someone. And Quinn Williams, he could put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. He's amazing against the run. He's a Jerry Jones type of player. That's all we've heard Jerry Jones talk about over the last 2 to 3 years. We have to stop the run, still get to the quarterback, but we must stop the run. And I understood where he was coming from. But before he made this trade, the Dallas Cowboys could not put enough pressure on the quarterback. They couldn't stop the run. Now you have a 2-1 player. And since they double team Quinn Williams so much, it's now starting to free up everyone else. Osa Odigizua, he needs to be double teamed as well. You now have Kenny Clark. He's performed better since that trade with Quinn Williams to bring him over from the New York Jets. And now players like Donovan Ezra-Raku can go and put pressure on the quarterback, and the same with Jadeveon Clowney. And that is what happened against Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. It wasn't luck here. The Eagles, they did play bad in the second half, but give this defense a lot of credit. The Dallas Cowboys could have easily, let's pack up, let's go on to next week. But Brian Schottenheimer said, hell no. And the same with Matt Eberflus. Let's get things together. Let's come back in the second half. Let's bounce back from it. They had every reason to lose this game against the Eagles, and they never did. They never gave up. And this is a great sign long-term for Brian Schottenheimer. The players, they love him. And I love this hire. I questioned his hire at the point in time. You bring in this man that was the offensive coordinator last year. He didn't call offensive plays. How will he look as a head coach? But he's finally gotten his opportunity, and he's showing out right now with the Dallas Cowboys. Even early on in the year, when the defense was not playing well, the Dallas Cowboys were still in a lot of games because of his offense. He deserves a lot of credit. Same with Matt Eberflus. I still have a lot of questions about Matt Eberflus. He loves that zone coverage. You have press man corners on the outside. But I will say this, the last 3 weeks, he's mixed it up. They're playing more man coverage on the back end. The one critique that I have of Matt Eberflus right now, if you give up a big play in man, don't go back to zone. Stick with it. Stick with the man coverage. Your cornerbacks are comfortable with that set. But this pass rush, they deserve a lot of love. And DeMarvion Overshown, he's been able to come back from that knee injury that he suffered last year against the Cincinnati Bengals. He's a talented linebacker in terms of stopping the run and guarding tight ends across the middle of the field. I'm not saying that this defense is playoff caliber. I'm not saying that they're perfect. They're far from it. But it's better than what you had 6 weeks ago, by far. In this win against Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes did have 4 passing touchdowns. He's one of the most talented players in this league. The way that they were able to play defense against Patrick on third down, put that pressure on him with Quinn Williams. Look at the impact that he has, even though he wasn't able to come away with sacks in certain situations. Flag, holding. He's a force. He's putting so much pressure on the center and the guard position where they have to hold him. That's a positive play. It doesn't go down in the stat sheet, but that's a positive. Now you have Jadeveon Clowney, who played out of his mind against Kansas City today. And you win this game against another team that was in the Super Bowl just last season. Back-to-back wins against both teams that were just in the Super Bowl. And you can say the same thing about the Denver Broncos. But this is great for the Dallas Cowboys because this is starting to happen on the back end of the season. You can carry that momentum over into the NFL playoffs. And I hope that the Dallas Cowboys, they make it to the postseason. They deserve it. They're a fun football team. And I know what the numbers are going to say. Patrick had 4 passing touchdowns in this game. He outplayed Dak Prescott. In my opinion, Dak Prescott outplayed Patrick. Patrick had great moments. But when they needed big time moments from Dak Prescott, here he comes. Constantly. He threw the interception. That was a bad play. But after that interception, Dak Prescott was locked in. He was 27 to 39, 320 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. And the same thing happened last week. Throws the interception, bounces back from it. And one more thing about the Philadelphia Eagles game here. CeeDee Lamb has so many drops in week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles and last week. He comes up clutch this week against Kansas City. And I love what Brian Schottenheimer said. He's a talented player. He'll figure it out. Let's just forget about it. We're on to next week against Kansas City. That's the mindset that you have as a head coach. You pump that into your player. And that's what CeeDee said. CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers in the game. But even some of the best players, they have bad games. They have bad moments. Can you bounce back from it? And CeeDee Lamb, he did that. And going back to week 1, they would have had the win against the Philadelphia Eagles here if CeeDee Lamb cashed in with some of those drop passes, some of those miscues. So they played the Philadelphia Eagles very close. So they faced each other in the postseason. That may be a toss-up game right there. But going back into the Dak Prescott conversation, he should be in the MVP conversation. I'm not saying that he's the MVP right now. Matthew Stafford is having a historic season, and the same with Jonathan Taylor. But Dak Prescott, when the defense wasn't playing well, he's going out there. Most weeks he's putting up 40 points against the Green Bay Packers, against the New York Giants. 27 points against the Carolina Panthers, 44 points against the Washington Commanders. He's had some stinkers in there, like how he had against the Arizona Cardinals and the same against the Bears. And that interception against the Bears, it wasn't on Dak Prescott. It bounces off the hands of George Pickens. But in the regular season, we all know that Dak Prescott is a pretty damn good quarterback. And we're starting to see it right now on a consistent basis. And Jerry Jones and his trades, the Micah Parsons trade at the point in time, I said there was a terrible trade. Why trade one of the best pass rushers in the game? But at least you got first round picks out of it and you bring in Kenny Clark. A trade that I love with Jerry Jones. And you bring in Quentin Williams. Great trade. I've already talked about that. This trade here with George Pickens, my goodness. They were missing a consistent number 2 wide receiver. He had problems with the Steelers. Off the field. On the field, talented player. The quarterbacks that he had to play with, Mason Rudolph, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett. Dak Prescott on his worst day is better than all those quarterbacks right now. George Pickens is not a number 2 wide receiver. He's a number 1. He's in the conversation with being a top 3 wide receiver this season. That is how special he is. Getting on top of cornerbacks, winning contested catches at the goal line. Beating press man coverage, putting him inside the slot, being a deep threat. He's the perfect wide receiver. And I know that him and CeeDee Lamb had a situation. They basically had to sit out the first opening drive against the Las Vegas Raiders. But besides that, they have been model citizens for the Dallas Cowboys. George Pickens, don't franchise tag him. Don't wait around. Give him his money as soon as possible. Adding in George Pickens has been one of the best trades for the Dallas Cowboys over the last few years. And it's opened up the run game. Now let's give the offensive lineman a lot of credit up front. You made the decision to select Tyler Booker in the first round, who was a very good guard, by the way. Tyler Booker has been phenomenal this season. You have him, Cooper Beebe at the center position, and Tyler Smith. And this offensive line has dealt with injuries throughout the year. In today's game, Tyler Guyton, he missed today's matchup against Kansas City. But this is the one thing with the run game. You bring in a wide receiver like George Pickens, teams have to respect his vertical ability, and the same with CeeDee Lamb. So now you have to back up a little bit with your safeties and your linebackers. They can crush you underneath with Jake Ferguson. And it opens up that run game. And now you have the option with Javonte Williams, go in between the tackles, toss play to the outside. Kansas City, they were so worried about CeeDee Lamb beating them deep, and it did happen in the second half and the third quarter. They were so worried about him and CeeDee Lamb. Now you just have that one safety on the back end he has to rotate over. Well, Coach Schottenheimer, he puts Dak Prescott under center. Let's run the football here. Javonte Williams is out the game. Malik Davis goes down the field and gets the longest rushing touchdown of the day for the Dallas Cowboys on a tough Kansas City defense. So everything is clicking right now for the Dallas Cowboys, whether they're dealing with injuries or not. The coaching job with Schottenheimer has been phenomenal all season long. I still have a lot of questions about Matt Eberflus as a defensive coordinator. He still has his bad moments, but he's been willing to be able to go out there and make adjustments over the last 4 weeks on the back end of this defense with different man coverages in terms of just going out there running press man up front, get physical with those wide receivers, playing off 5 to 10 yards, just anything besides that zone coverage. And even though Patrick had 4 passing touchdowns, you still had moments to where this defense, they stepped up against Rashee Rice and the same against Hollywood Brown and Travis Kelce. This offense is so powerful. You don't need your defense to be top 10. They can be middle of the pack, and that should be good enough. Just get clutch stops like how you did last week against the Philadelphia Eagles and how you did today against Kansas City. Put the football back to the hands of Dak Prescott. If he could take care of the football, you'll be fine. And even with turnovers, you're still winning games here. But I love what the Dallas Cowboys are doing right now. The back half of the season, you win out, you control your own destiny, you should make it to the postseason. And this is not a video saying they're a Super Bowl threat. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. Not overreacting here. But they're way better currently than they were early on this season. And that's all that you ask for out of a team. Can you progress every single week? And can you do that with your head coach? Can he keep you in these games? And Brian Schottenheimer has done that. But let me know in the comment section below how you feel about Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. And happy Thanksgiving. Peace.